Lately, my social media feed has been flooded with reviews of the MacBook Neo at around $600. It's still pretty expensive for me. Honestly, not something I can just go out and buy. But after watching a few gaming benchmark videos of this machine, I got really curious. So today I'm going to try something interesting. I'll take an old $250 PC and compare one specific aspect of it: gaming performance. Now, before we start, I want to make something very clear. I know some people might criticize this kind of content, but this video is just a fun experiment, a casual comparison for entertainment. It's not meant to insult or put down any product, and I'm not going to talk about the design or the appearance of the MacBook Neo. Plenty of people have already done that. Instead, I want to focus on something different: how to choose PC components that could potentially outperform the MacBook Neo in gaming for less money. Inside the MacBook Neo is the Apple A18 Pro, the same chip used in devices like the iPhone 16 Pro and other recent Apple products. It features 6 CPU cores in total, 2 high-performance cores that can turbo up to around 4 GHz, and 4 efficiency cores running at about 2.4 GHz. And the PC I'm using for this test is a Dell Optiplex 3070. Honestly, I'm a little worried about this machine. I'm not even sure if it can really outperform the MacBook Neo or not. Inside it is an Intel Core i5-9500, a desktop CPU released in 2019. It has 6 cores and can boost up to 4.4 GHz. At first glance, you'd think the i5-9500 should easily win, right? It's a desktop processor, while the Apple A18 Pro is just a mobile chip. But when you actually look at the benchmarks, things start to get a little strange. In Geekbench, the A18 Pro scores around 3,500 points in single core, while the i5-9500 only reaches about 1,400. And surprisingly, the multi-core score of the A18 Pro is also higher. So in other words, a 10-watt phone chip is beating a 65-watt desktop CPU. And that's when I realized something. Comparing CPU versus CPU alone might not be a fair fight anymore. Next up is RAM. Even though the MacBook Neo only comes with 8 GB of RAM, this PC has 16 GB installed. Since the whole system still fits within the $250 budget, I decided to keep the extra RAM to compensate for the CPU disadvantage and give the PC a fair chance against the MacBook Neo. And to make this test a little more interesting, I also upgraded the GPU. The original system cost around $130, but I added an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3056 GB that I found on the used market for $120. That brings the total cost of this PC to about $250. Now, I know this might make the PC look significantly more powerful than the MacBook Neo, but the goal of this video isn't to build a system that's identical to the MacBook. The real question is this: with less than half the price of a MacBook Neo, how powerful of a gaming PC can we actually build? Alright, let's get into the main part of this video: the gaming tests. First up, we have Hollow Knight Silksong, a 2D action-adventure game with a beautiful hand-drawn art style. It's not a demanding title, so this is more of a warm-up than a real stress test. From what I've seen in other benchmarks, the MacBook Neo can handle it surprisingly well at 2K resolution, usually landing around 70 to 100 frames per second. For a thin, low-power machine, that's already a very solid result. Now, over on my Dell Optiplex 7020, things are a little different. At the same 2K resolution, Silksong runs far above 200 frames per second without much effort. The CPU and GPU sit at moderate usage, temperatures stay under control, and the whole experience feels perfectly smooth. Honestly, there isn't much to analyze here. This is a lightweight indie game, and it shows. As expected, both systems handle it just fine, and even weaker hardware should still be able to run it comfortably.
Nice.
Next, let's move on to something a little more demanding: Minecraft Java Edition. This is where things start to get more interesting, because Minecraft can be surprisingly heavy depending on settings, render distance, and whether or not you're using shaders. On the MacBook Neo running at 1080p with low settings, fast graphics, and an 8-chunk render distance, the game usually sits in the 200 to 300 frames per second range. That is an excellent result for this kind of machine. Once shaders come into the picture, performance drops quickly. With shaders enabled on very low settings, it falls to around 50 to 60 frames per second. Even so, that is still very respectable for a mobile-class CPU paired with Apple's integrated graphics. Now let's jump back to my PC. Using the same 8-chunk render distance, I pushed the resolution straight up to 2K, and the system had absolutely no problem pushing around 400 frames per second. The Intel Core i5-9500 and the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3056 GB barely seemed to notice the workload. Once I pushed both the render distance and the simulation distance all the way up to the maximum 32 chunks, still at 2K resolution, the frame rate dropped to around 200 frames per second. That's still extremely playable, but now the CPU had to work a lot harder. Minecraft Java has always loved CPU power, and this test really shows it. Then I enabled shaders at 1080p with 8 chunks, and even there, the game still managed to hold a stable 70 to 100 frames per second. Everything remained smooth and responsive. Now let's move on to a classic benchmark title, Grand Theft Auto 5. On the MacBook Neo running at 1080p on low settings, the game performs fairly well, landing somewhere between 30 and 60 frames per second, depending on what's happening on screen. And honestly, that's pretty impressive when you remember the fact that the game is running through translation layers on a fanless MacBook. On my PC, though, it's a very different story. At 1080p with low settings, the frame rate stays well above 100 frames per second most of the time, giving you a much smoother overall experience. When I increased the resolution to 2K, performance still stayed strong at around 90 frames per second, which is exactly what you would expect from a 9th gen i5 paired with an RTX 3050. Nothing dramatic happens here, just solid, predictable performance. Finally, let's test something much heavier. Cyberpunk 2077. Yes, the MacBook Neo can technically run it, and that alone is kind of wild. But of course, there are compromises. macOS automatically lowers the resolution as much as it can, and leans heavily on upscaling together with the absolute minimum graphics settings just to keep the game playable. Even with all of that, it still manages around 30 frames per second. For a chip originally designed for smartphones, that result is honestly kind of insane. Now let's see what happens on my PC. Running Cyberpunk 2077 at 2K with low settings, the frame rate stays close to 60 frames per second most of the time. Since this is a genuinely demanding AAA game, both the CPU and GPU are under significant load, especially the GPU, and that makes sense. The RTX 3050 is still a mid-range graphics card, and asking it to run a title like Cyberpunk at 2K is definitely pushing it, but this is where things get interesting. The moment I lowered the resolution to 720p, much closer to what the MacBook Neo is effectively using internally after all of its scaling tricks, the frame rate immediately doubled, shooting well past 120 frames per second. And honestly, that's pretty impressive. So after running all these tests, I think the result is pretty clear. The old PC build absolutely wins when it comes to raw gaming performance. With the RTX 3050 and a full desktop CPU, it simply has far more graphical power and flexibility for modern games. Titles like Silksong, Minecraft, GTA 5 Legacy, and even Cyberpunk run noticeably smoother, and at higher settings compared to the MacBook Neo. But that doesn't mean this comparison is about beating the MacBook Neo in a negative way. These are two very different machines built for different purposes. The MacBook Neo is designed to be a thin, portable, all-in-one device with great battery life, a beautiful display, and a smooth everyday experience. For productivity, media consumption, and portability, it's still an excellent machine. What this video really shows is something else. If your main goal is gaming, you can build a surprisingly powerful setup on a budget using older hardware and smart upgrades. For around half the price, this old Optiplex build turned into a very capable gaming PC. And honestly, the experience was way better than I expected, and that's the fun part of PC building. Experimenting, repurposing older machines, and squeezing as much performance as possible out of them. If you enjoyed this little experiment, make sure to hit the like button and let me know in the comments what you think. Would you choose the MacBook Neo for its portability and ecosystem, or would you go with a budget gaming PC like this instead? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.